So recently there was a law passed in Louisiana that requires the Ten Commandments to be put up on giant posters in every classroom in readable text from grades kindergarten to university level education. Any public school within Louisiana must have this requirement met by 2025 according to this law. And specifically, this version of the Ten Commandments, because there is multiple versions from different denominations, is specifically the evangelical white Christian conservative one. So this law is also giving precedent to a specific denomination within Christianity too. But you might be wondering, why are they even passing this law? What's the point? Well, one of the biggest reasons is to push a Christian agenda because they think that these Christian morals will help the students in the schools behave better, commit less crime. This is the only way to promote civil behavior so the kids don't go commit crimes and stuff. Is to put up a giant poster in every classroom and say, look at these ancient Jewish laws. This is what you should be following in the 21st century.
This bill mandates the display of the Ten Commandments in every classroom in public, elementary, secondary, and post-education schools in the state of Louisiana. Because if you want to respect the rule of law, you got to start from the original lawgiver, which was Moses.
That's right.
Amen. All right.
God gave, Moses received.
That's right. He got his commandments from God, and then he wrote them all for us. All right.
Also, another reason is just political urgency. They're not getting enough votes. They're not getting enough support. Oh, all right, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to yet again use religion as a means to control people, as it always has been used to control people, and get them to support our cause by saying, we're going to push the Christian agenda. We're going to push the Christian values. We're going to make sure Christianity thrives, and we're not going to get wiped out. These other religions and this atheism is coming and ruining our Christian values. I'm going to make sure we're going to put up posters of our religious belief in every classroom so we can let the country know, let every person know, 2-year-olds in a classroom know that we have Christian values. So whenever you're losing support, whenever you have a lack of votes, just say something about the Bible, say something about Christianity, say you're going to make some Christian nationalist state, and there you go, you get 1 million votes from Christians. Trump is doing the exact same thing with his term this year. He's talking about how Christians are so persecuted and, we need to bring back Christian values to this country, make America pray again.
Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country, and I truly believe that we need to bring them back, and we have to bring them back fast. I think it's one of the biggest problems we have. That's why our country is going haywire. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book. This Bible is a reminder that the biggest thing we have to bring back America and to make America great again is our religion. Christians are under siege. We have to bring Christianity back into our lives and back into what will be again a great nation. We must make America pray again.
And it's all just a tool for political powers, just to act like you were on people's side, act like I'm going to support you and your religion. You want votes. You are running out of support. You want votes. This is the same thing you did with the LGBTQ. You just held up a flag, got the votes, and you're like, all right, we're good now. But then you switch up when you're losing support from them. You switch up to the Christians. Oh, the Christians, we're so persecuted. I need your vote to make America Christian again. And another reason why they want to promote this is because they're saying it's the foundation of our morality, it's the foundation of this country's ethics, and this is pretty much the best moral system that we have because it's from the lawgiver of the universe.
From the original lawgiver, which was Moses.
That's right. God gave, Moses received.
That's right. He got his commandments from God. All right.
Guess what? Before the Ten Commandments, there's plenty of other laws written by plenty of other ancient civilizations that are just as good, if not better, than the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments is nothing special. You only think it's special because it's your specific religion. So one of the things they want to promote here is ethics and morality, and they want people to act more civil. But you know what's the best way to keep crime rates low and have people act civil? Try to fix the poverty in your state. Poverty has a clear correlation with the amount of violence and crime that goes on. This has been studied multiple times by many different studies, and it just makes sense. If you're poor and you're in a desperate situation, you're more willing to commit crime. Your little poster of the Ten Commandments on each classroom of 12-year-olds is not going to help anything. So how about we invest some money into the education programs, into the poverty programs to help your state come out of poverty? Because your state is ranking 50th on education. So maybe we should work on that. Then maybe that would help people get a little bit more common sense to stop committing crimes. Even before all these studies showing the correlation between crime and poverty, people knew. People knew. Marcus Aurelius, one of his famous quotes is, "Poverty is the mother of crime." People know this. This is common sense. If you have poverty, you have crime because people are desperate and they don't care when they're desperate. When you're dying, when you are starving, when you are in a horrible housing situation, you don't care that you have to go steal from someone. And guess what? The Ten Commandments aren't going to help because Louisiana is also a very Christian state. They know this. They know all these Christian values that you want to promote. I don't see the point in promoting this because the majority of your state is Christian. But it's clearly not working. The Christian values are not working. Mostly everyone is Christian, and the Christian values are not working. They're not making them a new creation and having them behave more morally than any other religious people or people who have no religion and are atheists or anything like that. It's not working. So how about instead of pushing more Christian agendas, which is clearly already not doing anything, you invest in your education and you invest in the poverty programs so you can get people out of poverty, you can get them educated, and you can provide better living conditions so people are not desperate to go commit crimes. This law has also been proposed as a way of expressing religious freedom. They just want to express their religion. They have the freedom to express it. That's why they're going to do this. What about the religious freedom of the Muslims that are going to schools in Louisiana and have to look at another religion posing its laws on them? What about the Hindus that have their own beliefs, that have their own religious freedom, going into another classroom and they see a giant poster of another religion saying, "Our God is the only God"? How does that make any sense? You're clearly trying to push a Christian agenda, a Christian nationalist agenda, and push your religion above every other religion. This is not about religious freedom. And also, I don't think many of these people know what the Ten Commandments are about. They don't know the context behind them. They don't know the context of the culture. I think they just see these things and they're like, "Yup, those are some good commandments. We're going to put them in the class." Looking at these graphs, we can see that religion is very important to people in Louisiana. But then looking at the amount of scripture they read and the amount of Bible study that they do is completely unbalanced. So maybe these people don't actually know the context behind the Ten Commandments and are just putting them up because they just think that it's the most moral thing because it came from their religion. Which it actually didn't. It came from Judaism, not a Christian thing. But as we're going to see later on as we go over the Ten Commandments and the context behind them, these are not good laws. This whole Ten Commandments situation is just unnecessary. It doesn't need to happen. It's not helping anything. It's just to get votes. It's just to push an agenda of a Christian nationalist agenda. It's not doing anything. It's sucking up energy and money that could be spent on poverty programs, that could be spent on bettering the education. Now you're going to have to deal with a bunch of people that want their religious freedom that are going to sue you. So now you're going to have to spend a bunch of money and energy on the fact that you're going to pass a law that's not really going to do anything, and you're going to really be stubborn about it because it's your religion. And when people want their religious freedom to go to school and not have to deal with a giant poster of your religion, you're going to have to spend the time and money instead of investing that into poverty programs and education on fighting these people because they want religious freedom. I think there's also just a lack of empathy in putting yourself in someone else's shoes here because just imagine that you're a Christian, or maybe you are a Christian already, and some Islamic group comes up to the Congress, some Supreme Court, to the state, and proposes that every school should have a giant poster of verses from the Quran because it's their religious freedom, right? Every verse is from the Quran saying that Allah is the only God, Muhammad is his prophet, we must follow Allah's law. Allah's law is the most moral, and all these verses from the Quran. Every single classroom, right? Because religious freedom. No, you wouldn't be fine with that. If you're just fine with it because it's your religion, just because it's the majority. That's it. Put yourself in other people's shoes, please, before you start passing laws. Religion and ideology shouldn't even be in the education system. We're here to get educated about math, English, science. We're just here to learn. That's it. Ideology does not need to be in the education system. It needs to get out. Whether it's ideology from the right or the left, whatever ideology it is, whatever it's promoting, he needs to stay out of the education system. The education system is a neutral ground where you just go and you learn. That's it. It does not need to be ridden with ideology and religion and whatever it is. Not just from the right, not just from Republicans, also from the left. The left doesn't need to impose their ideology on there either. Alright, so now we're going to get into the breakdown of the Ten Commandments, because if this is truly the best set of laws that we have, then we should put it up on every building. I agree, yes. If this is truly the best set, this is the most moral thing humanity has ever been given, has ever invented, they should put it up on every classroom and everyone should see it. But let's go through these laws and look at their context and look at what they mean and what they're supposed to do and see if they're actually useful. So the first commandment we have is, you shall not have any other gods before me. How is this useful to anyone? How is this promoting moral behavior? Morality is between different humans and how they interact. Who cares what you're doing with a metaphysical being? If anything, this is promoting religious discrimination, because imagine you were a Hindu or a Sikh and you come into the classroom and you sit down and you have the giant readable poster, as it's required by the state, saying, you shall have no other gods before me. What is the Hindu or the Sikh supposed to get from that? What are they supposed to get from that? You shall have no other gods before me. We're talking about the biblical God here in this 10 Commandments. So what's wrong with my gods? I have my own religion. I believe in my own gods. What's wrong with that? You shall have. Why should I not have any other gods before you? The purpose of this law back in the day was to promote Jewish monotheism, stop polytheism, and have everyone focus on this one God, worship this one God, follow the Jewish law, and don't get distracted by other religions, when this was super important to the societies and now having to stick together under one group, under one identity in order to survive. Now we have different religions and we all live together and it's fine. So this is not doing anything to promote morality. So the next commandment we have is, you shall not make a graven image. Again, how is this useful to anyone morale-wise? It's not talking about morality, because it's not talking about interactions between human beings. It's talking about the interaction between you, an object, and a metaphysical parental figure that is unprovable and we have no idea if he exists or not. So if your point is to promote morality in your state that's already Christian, that probably already knows all these things, and it's just clearly not working, then this is not doing anything. This is not giving you a commandment to treat someone else in a certain way that's more moral than what you're already doing. This is talking about you and your interaction with some metaphysical thing. This teaching was meant for the Jewish people to stop worshiping things like the golden calf and objects and stuff like that. So that's the only reason this was made. But who cares? Who cares nowadays, in our modern day, in the 21st century? Why do we care if someone is worshiping a statue? What is that doing to you? Nothing. If they're not harming other people, then it has nothing to do with morality. Morality is only the interaction between conscious creatures. That's it. That's it. There's nothing to do with morality here. Also, Christians can't even agree what this verse means here, because plenty of denominations say that you cannot depict Jesus in any way. You cannot have drawings, paintings, sculptures. Definitely do not make a sculpture of Jesus. But then the Catholics have a million sculptures all over their church. They have Jesus at the center of it as a sculpture crucified. So Christians can't even agree what this verse means. So what's the point of this verse? The next commandment we have is, you shall not take the Lord's name in vain. Again, nothing to do with morality, just your interaction with a metaphysical being that you cannot prove exists, and it's a freedom of speech violation. What's going to happen to the kids that don't believe in your religion and just say the saying of, oh my God, and they say the Lord's name in vain? What's going to happen to them, huh? Are you going to impose your religion on them? Are you going to say that you can't say this? Well, that's a violation of free speech. So what is this commandment for? Also, again, Christians can't agree what this means at all. Many Christians say, oh my God, all the time. They say Jesus all the time. They say, God damn it. Nobody agrees what these commandments are. We're just putting them up and we're just acting like they're so profound. They're so past the time that they were made. They were so moral. This is what we need in Louisiana right now in the 21st century. Next commandment we have is, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Again, this is between you and God. Has nothing to do with promoting morality, nothing to do that keeps crimes low. Maybe it'll keep crime on Sundays low and then it's done after that. So I don't know what you're really achieving with this here. Also, again, majority of Christians do not follow this. They reinterpret it in some kind of way that allows them to go to work on Sunday, watch whatever they want on Sunday. Most Christians are not sitting in their houses Sunday, keeping the whole day holy, just worshiping and resting. That is not what's happening. Again, we can see why these commandments will not work for other people that do not believe in your superstitious beliefs. Keeping the Sabbath day holy means nothing to a Muslim. It means nothing to a Hindu. It means nothing to a Buddhist. These are just your beliefs. You are going to follow them anyway, so what's the point of imposing them on everyone in the classrooms? Commandment number 5 is honor your father and mother. It's good teaching. You should honor your parents to the extent that they can be honored. What if your parents are abusive? What if your parents are sexually abusing you in the household? What if your parents are not feeding you? What if your parents are hitting you? What do you do then? Do you keep honoring them because God said so? No, this commandment is not nuanced enough. And guess what? In the context of this commandment, children who disrespected their parents in Jewish culture when this commandment was made, the punishment for disrespect, was to get stoned. So that's why this commandment was made, to help children survive. Listen to this commandment, otherwise you will die, because the punishment for your disrespect for your parents is death. Is that what we want to implement here? Why are we not adding the whole verse where it says, honor your father and mother so you can live a long life? Why are we not adding the context here? It's God's perfect command, isn't it? So we should include the whole thing. We don't just get to pick and choose out of God's word. No, we include the whole thing. But no, stoning your children is immoral now. So why are we cherry picking here? Commandment number 6, you shall not murder. Congrats, you figured out that humans shouldn't kill each other. This has been a thing ever since ever since there was more than 2 people in a society, in a group. They realized, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill each other because the other person is going to kill me because it's going to be mayhem. This is not anything impressive. This is not anything unique to the Bible. This is not anything unique from God's morality. This is basic common sense. Don't kill people and you won't be killed either. Also, again, this law is not nuanced enough. If you have a home invader and they're going to kill you, are you going to listen to you shall not murder and you're not going to defend yourself? These laws, absolutes, do not work. This is why morality needs to be at least a little bit flexible. We need to have a foundation of morality, which is the well-being of conscious creatures. And then you get to think of situations where things would be different. Absolute commandments like this do not work. Otherwise, we would not be going to war. Otherwise, we would not have self-defense weapons. Otherwise, we would have no lethal weapons that could help us defend ourselves. So, no, this commandment doesn't work. It's not helpful, and it's common sense. Commandment number 7 here is, you shall not commit adultery. Again, another good teaching, not unique to the Bible. Existed way before it, existed in many other societies, not anything unique that pushes you, that you have to put your religion's version of this law into every single classroom. Here are some of the examples of the anti-adultery laws that existed way before the 10 Commandments. The first one is the Code of Ur-Nammu, which is from 2100 to 2050 BCE, so more than 1,000 years before the 10 Commandments. Code of Hammurabi, 1754 BCE, a couple hundred years before the 10 Commandments. Hittite laws that were present within the surrounding countries of Israel, 1600 to 1100 BCE. So if you want to talk about the history of morality, if you want to talk about how morality evolved, where it came from, the foundations of morality, the origins of morality, go all the way back. Why are you drawing this line at your religious views, at your religious belief? Go all the way back and see all the moral codes that were made before yours that have the exact same laws or better. So this is all to push your religion. So again, let's look at the context behind this law too. What happens if you committed adultery? Your husband or your wife gets mad and you guys gotta go and get a divorce, and it's a whole problem, but everyone goes off their way and it sucks, but get the divorce and it's over. Now, the context behind this commandment is specifically, you commit adultery and you die. It's a capital offense. You get stoned to death or killed. So, do we want to implement that part? Do we want to implement the whole law that God gave back in the day, or are we just going to pick and choose the part that seemed okay and dismiss the parts that are inconvenient as, oh, they were Jewish culture, oh, it was ancient culture? Guess what? This commandment is ancient culture. So what are you talking about? When it's convenient, you get to cherry pick that part out, but then forget about the punishment that was meant for this commandment? Next commandment we have is you shall not steal. Common sense. Again, you don't want to get stolen from in this society? Don't steal. It'll just be mayhem and it'll just cause more stealing. Common sense. Not anything unique to the Bible. Other codes had it. Every human society had it. Ever since we realized how to live in a group, we've realized, oh, maybe I shouldn't steal out of nowhere and I'm going to get stolen from it. And maybe I should treat other people like I want to be treated. Again, how about instead of putting giant posters in classrooms, we teach children why it's good to be moral, why the reasons behind morality. You don't want to steal because you're going to get stolen from. You give them the reasons. You cannot just put up a poster and say, oh, listen to it. No, nobody's going to listen to it. They're clearly already not listening to it. Your crime rates are at an all-time high with all of them being Christian. I'm sure they all know about the Ten Commandments. What you're doing here is trying to fix a sinking ship, which is the state of Louisiana and their poor education system and all the poverty, with some scotch tape and tinfoil. You're not doing anything by putting these 10 commandments up in every classroom. Address the core problems of poverty and education here. The next commandment we have is you shall not bear false witness. If this commandment was just about lying in general, then fine, it's a good commandment, not unique, common sense, had it in many other nations way before the Ten Commandments. But if it was just about lying in general, fine, whatever, good commandment. But this is specifically about giving a testimony in court. And following the trends we've seen for violating these commandments in this culture of the ancient Jewish law that these commandments were made in, I want you guys to guess what the punishment is for violating this false testimony in court. Yeah, that's right. It's death. You get killed. So are we going to implement that? No, we're going to forget about that because it's ancient Jewish law and it's immoral. We can ignore it. Okay. The next commandment we have is you shall not covet. This is a thought crime. This is not an action. This is just you thinking about what someone else has and you wanting it. And this belief only works if you believe in your specific religion where a God is listening to your thoughts and judging you. So what is immoral here is if you act upon the jealousy and you go and steal something or you go and hurt someone. That's what's wrong here, not the thought. Just the thought of being jealous is not a crime. So I recommend anyone who thinks these 10 commandments are the perfect moral law from the God of the universe, that nothing can do better. This is peak morality right here. Go read some ancient literature. Go read about the history of ancient, just Middle Eastern cultures alone. Just Middle Eastern cultures, just cultures around Israel, and see how much better they were doing before the Ten Commandments. And even during the Ten Commandments, they were giving laws that were just as good, if not better. The Ten Commandments is not anything special. It's not the most horrible thing, but it's not anything special. Please learn the context behind these commandments. Please learn what the punishment was for violating these commandments. And really think about, do I want to implement that? If I'm saying that the law itself, the commandment, is something valuable, the commandment is the moral commandment from the creator of the universe,
from the original lawgiver,
you also should be willing to carry out the punishment given by this creator of the universe for violating this commandment, because they're both part of the commandment from the divine creator of the universe. You don't get to just ignore one of these things because it's immoral and, oh, it was ancient Jewish culture. Nope. It was given by the objective morality of God back in the day, and you're going to put all these together and you're going to follow both. And that brings me into why I even care about this issue. Why do I even care? Why am I so passionate about the fact that they're going to put up a poster and it's going to have the Ten Commandments on there? Well, it's a step towards theocracy. Theocracy is basically a government ruled under religion, ruled under religious rules and holy scripture and superstition, basically. And the reason why I'm so against this is because I'm from Iran, and the religious radicalism in that country ruined the country. The country was doing good, it was westernizing, it was learning how to work itself, and religious radicalism came over, overruled all these laws, all these freedoms that we had fought for over these years. and it made it a theocracy. And now that theocracy is hell because they're following superstitious beliefs that they can mold into whatever laws they want, and it's from God, so you can't question it. What I'm afraid of is this is going to get to a point where we're actually implementing what the Old Testament says we should do about these laws. This might sound like a slippery slope fallacy, but it's not. It's very possible because many people in many states are very willing to implement things from the Bible and their Christian values and push their religion onto schools, and they want the separation between church and state. Like, they don't want it to happen. They don't want it to be there. They want church and state to be molded together and religion rule as a theocracy.
When society or government separates from the law of God, it cuts itself off from any hope of being driven toward salvation, any kind of restraint against sin.
So what I'm afraid of is this is going to be a step towards actual Christian nationalism, where the country becomes a Christian theocracy and we completely get rid of checks and balances of power, and everything is going to go to hell, just like every other theocracy ever did. Religious freedom in this country, in the schools where religion is not even supposed to be there, is neutrality. There is no specific opinion. There is no weight given to one religion. And what this is violating is religious freedom of having to deal with other people's religions constantly coming at you when you're sitting in a place where it's supposed to be neutral. And again, politicians are using Christianity as their new way of getting votes nowadays, trying to push the Christian nationalist agenda and get their votes and get into office.
It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book.
Trump has said if he gets elected this year, he will implement laws that will go against anti-Christian bias, anti-Christian persecution, because Christians in this country are so persecuted, even though they're the majority of people in this country. It's all being used as a political tool, as it always has been on a large scale like this, to control people, to get their votes, to get their favor, to emotionally manipulate them. But anyways, all I ask is, if you're a Christian and you support this whole Ten Commandments poster law thing and you think we should be putting this on every classroom, then just put yourself in someone else's shoes for a second. Just imagine a different situation for a second. Imagine you were a Christian and a group of Muslims come and they put verses of the Quran all over the walls, and they push the Quran verses on you, the Quran teachings. Allah is the only God. Jesus is not God. Jesus is just a prophet. Imagine how you would feel. Just because you're the majority religion in this country doesn't give you the right to put your religion all over the places where they're not even supposed to be. Because remember, if one day the tides turn and another religion is in power and they want to implement their religious views into schools, you are not going to be fine with that. You are not going to just accept that. So how about we keep the separation of church and state, and you go to your church and people go to their school, and these things stay separate and personal. Use your God-given morality to figure out what's wrong with this law and the violation of religious freedom. But anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to watch another video on this topic that's really good, really well made, go look at Brandon's video. He goes really in depth. He has some really good points. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Comment below what you think about this whole situation. And I'll see you guys in the next video.